Hey folks, Coach Danny here from the Online Basketball Academy. And today we're going to be looking at three offensive basketball plays that can be used for just about any age group that have been used by NBA coaches. So, what we'll do here is we'll look at the play, we'll explain the play, but then we'll watch it being used in an NBA game. So, the best part about these three plays is that, they are validated, they work, and they've been used by NBA coaches, but they're also pretty simple and can be used with just about any age group that you are coaching. So they're not too complicated, but they are proven to be effective by some of the best coaches in the world. So let's take a look at these three basketball plays that have been used by NBA coaches. So the first play that we're going to look at here is a zipper loop play that had been used by Toronto Raptors head coach Nick Nurse a lot throughout their championship seasons back around 2018, 2019, and 2020. So this was a play that they used quite frequently to get Kyle Lowry open for the basketball, whether that be a three-point shot or an easy drive to the basket. And what you're going to see here is the utilization of a lot of stagger screens, right? Multiple screens for Kyle Lowry to come off of so that he is wide open. So this one's actually pretty easy and pretty effective as well. So let's take a look at it. So the first thing that we're going to have happen is we're going to need some sort of screen to be set for somebody on the wing to get the basketball. So we're going to have it take place on this left side of the floor because that's where we have the basketball right now. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to have number 3 go set a screen here for number 4. Now, number 4 is going to come off that screen so that they're a little bit more centered on the basketball floor. So they're going to come off that screen and they're going to be centered right here. Maybe in this situation, we'd actually have the point guard a little bit more to the left. But regardless, we're going to have number 4 end up receiving the basketball. Now, as that happens, number 1 is going to circle their way around the floor, and they're going to be getting screened by just about every player on the floor. So number 1 is going to continue moving down the floor, and they're going to get screened on by number 3. Number 2 is then going to step in as well for that second screen. So number 1 is continuing to move down the floor. They're getting screened on by number 3 here. They're getting screened on by number 2 here. And then number 5 is going to move down as well, and they're setting another screen for number 1. Number 1 is coming off of that nice and tight, and they're going to receive the basketball back. Now, a lot of times what you'll see here is that the Toronto Raptors would put Kyle Lowry in this situation to kind of make it look like he would loop around for a three-point shot. But what you'd often see a lot of the time is Kyle Lowry would actually, almost get a defender here ready to contest the shot. Maybe they jump a little bit, and Kyle Lowry would have just about a wide open lane to the basket. So it's a little bit of a different way to get your point guard open for an easy basket, or if you're lucky, receiving a three-point shot. Let's take a look at it again. So we'll have our point guard up here with the basketball. We can kind of rearrange our numbers a little bit. It's not too important right now where our numbers are. So we're going to have number 3 set that first screen, right? And number 2 is coming off that screen a little bit more centered to the basketball. Number 4 is going to move in to set that second screen. We're ready, right? Number 1 is looping around the floor all the way through. They're getting screened on here by number 3, getting screened on by number 4, getting screened on by number 5. Right, so that's number 1's path all the way through. They're going to receive the basketball back. Can we get a three-point shot here? Maybe, but if not, we can drive it to the basket for an easy layup. As these screens take place, right, we're going to get these players out nice and wide, so we can open up that lane a little bit for our point guard if the three-point shot is not there. Let's take a look at this play now in NBA action. So as we'll see right here, we have Kyle Lowry with the ball in that point guard spot on the left side of the floor, just like we talked about, right? And as we'll see here, we had that first screen being set by Pascal Siakam for Fred VanVleet to come to the three-point line. So now we're set in that next step, right? Our point guard came up to the 3, the person we got screened for came up to the 3. Or the person we screened for, rather, came up to the three-point line. Now we're set. Now we're ready to go. Now we see our offense. And Kyle Lowry is getting ready to be screened on by all these 3 players, Pascal Siakam, Danny Green, and Serge Ibaka. So let's take a look at it, right? Kyle Lowry is making his way through, right? And he receives the basketball here just like we talked about. He got screened on there by all 3 players. Now, as you'll see here, Kyle Lowry does a little shot fake, gets both of these players jumping a little bit, and then he gets a wide open lane to the basket there for an easy 2. Okay, so the next play that we are going to look at here is a little pin down action used by Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, the goal of this particular play is to get somebody open for a mid range shot, right? Tim Duncan would often come off of this screen that we're going to show you, and he would usually get, a mid range shot around the free throw line. So if you have a particular player that you like to get open for a mid range shot, someone you trust in the mid range, this is the perfect play that you can use. So let's dive into it. Let's take a little look. Now, the biggest part of this play is that it comes from a little pin down action, but there are a few little things that happen first. So let's take a look at it. So number 1 here is our point guard. Okay, and number 5 is the player that you want to shoot that little mid-range shot. Oftentimes, like I said, the San Antonio Spurs would do this for Tim Duncan. So the first thing that we're going to do is number 3 is going to back cut, and they're going to do a little loop around and come outside to the 3-point line to receive the basketball. As that happens, though, number 5 is going to step in and set a little screen here for number 3 on the way over. So number 3, like I said, is cutting. Number 5 is stepping in to set a little screen as number 3 does that. Number 3 is continuing until number 3 gets to the 3-point line. Once that happens, number 1 is going to feed the ball over here to number 3. Now, we have number 2 here at the elbow, kind of lined up as if this were to be a little bit of a horn set. So number 2 is just going to pop out wide to the 3-point line, and number 3 is just going to dish the ball over to number 2. Now, as that happens, number 3 is going to cut through the middle of the key and look for the basketball from number 2, almost as if they're maybe looking to do a little bit of a 5-out motion style cut to the basket. But what they're actually going to do is come down here and set a hard screen for number 5. Number 5 is going to curl off of that screen for a mid-range shot. Number 2 is going to hit number 5, and number 5 is going to have pretty much a wide open lane here for a mid-range shot around the free throw line like we talked about. So let's take a look at this again and let's reset. So we are reset now. We have our point guard here. We have, almost a little bit of a horns looking set there. And we have our 5 who's going to be shooting that mid-range shot ready to go. So like we said, the first thing we're going to have here is number 3 is going to loop around to the 3-point line. Number 5 will step in for the screen on the way over. Number 3 is moving. Number 5 setting that screen. Number 3 is continuing over, right? And they're receiving that pass here from number 1. As that happens, number 2 is popping wide. We're going to feed the ball over to number 2. Number 3 is looking for the basketball, but they're actually going to set a screen here for number 5. And then number 5 is going to roll to about right here, receive that basketball around the free throw line, and they're going to get a mid-range wide open shot. Let's look at this play now being used by the San Antonio Spurs in NBA game action. So as we see here, we have Tony Parker bringing up the basketball in the point guard spot, and we will have Danny Green over here in the corner as the one kind of looping around to the 3-point line to get open. As you can see, Tim Duncan has already started the process of setting that screen there for Danny Green. So as we see, Danny Green comes up to the 3-point line, just like we talked about. And then we have somebody here coming back up to the 3, kind of popping wide off of that horns kind of look around the elbow, just like we talked about. They received the basketball. Now you'll see Danny Green begin to cut like we talked about, but he's actually going to set that screen for Tim Duncan, that pin down screen. Tim Duncan comes off of it for a wide open shot around the free throw line, which was pretty easy for him. As we know, that was a specialty of Tim Duncan. Easy play for the Spurs. You can run this with just about any age group. All right, folks, I need to quickly stop right there before we move into our next topic to mention that right now, 97.1% of our daily viewers are not subscribed to our channel. So that means if you are one of these people, if you are one of these 97.1% who are not currently subscribed but are watching this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you could take the time real quick to hit that subscribe button. It will help us continue to make content like this, continue to make basketball plays for other coaches, basketball drills for other players, and basketball, everything that both players and coaches and organizations alike can use. So again, if you could really quickly take the time to hit that subscribe button, it'll just take 2 seconds. It would be greatly appreciated. But moving on to our next topic. Now, the next play that we're going to look at here is a play used quite frequently by the Miami Heat. Now, while looking into the offense of the Miami Heat, I noticed that the Miami Heat use a lot of stagger screens in their offense, and that's exactly what we are going to see here with this next play. We're going to see, 2 to 3 screens being set on the same person, usually to receive, an open 3-point shot or a drive to the basket. But in this particular play, we'll see multiple screens being set, but we'll see a beautiful pick and roll that's, used a little bit differently than your conventional pick and roll. In this one, we'll look at the NBA version first, and then we'll bring it to our clipboard. So as we'll see right now, we have Jimmy Butler with the basketball again, which kind of seems like a common theme here. Although the Miami Heat do have a lot of point guards, at the time they had, I believe Tyler Hero was their main point guard. Throughout the last few years, they had Kyle Lowry. Now it seems like they've gone back to Tyler Hero again. They've had Terry Rozier. I believe they still have him, but they still tend to start their offense with the basketball in Jimmy Butler's hands. And that's what we'll see again here. So you'll see Jimmy Butler on the wing, and he's clearly looking in this direction as that is where the play is being set. And you'll look here at Kelly Olynyk. I'm not sure who this player number 28 is, but both of those players, we'll see a stagger screen being set here, right? So we see our first stagger screen being set by Kelly Olynyk, our second screen being set by number 28, and then you immediately have 2 rolls to the basket, which will result in an open layup here for number 28. All right, let's take a look at this again. Jimmy Butler with the basketball, we get those 2 stagger screens, and both of them cut to the key, which results in a wide open layup. Let's take a look at this now on our clipboard. So as we see, we had the ball here on the wing in Jimmy Butler's hands. Right, as that's happening, we have our 2 stagger screens being set here by number 2 and number 5, which are being set for number 1 in this situation, and then number 4 is a backup at the 3-point line, which appears to be for some sort of drive and kick if that situation does happen. With the ball over here, we have number 2 setting that first screen for number 1. Right, as that's happening, number 1 is coming up here, and then we have number 5 setting that second stagger screen for number 1. So number 1 is coming off of those screens, and they're cutting hard to the basket, but so is number 5. Number 5 is going to roll off of that screen. Now, number 3 was able to hit number 1 for that pass, and then as that happened, number 5 was still in the continuation of rolling, that they got another easy pass there for an easy, wide open layup. All right, folks, that is all we have for today's particular topic. If you made it this far into today's lesson, it is greatly appreciated. Now, if you guys could also do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to our channel, it would also be greatly appreciated. We are the Online Basketball Academy. My name is Coach Danny, and I continuously upload different basketball plays, basketball systems, basketball tactics, and basketball drills that youth basketball players or training basketball players can use or basketball coaches can use with their players and their teams. Like I said, folks, if you could take the time to like this video and subscribe to our channel so I can continue to make this type of content for you all, that would be greatly appreciated. Till next time, peace out.